Captain Sarah Chun pressed her palm against the observation deck's viewport, watching the massive structure rotate slowly in the void ahead. The research vessel Prometheus had been investigating anomalous energy readings for 3 weeks, following a trail that led them to the edge of known space. What they found defied every expectation. The object was enormous, easily the size of Earth's moon, yet it appeared to be artificial. Its surface gleamed with a dark metallic sheen, interrupted by geometric patterns that pulsed with faint blue light. Dr. Marcus Webb, the expedition's lead xenorchaeologist, stood beside her with his mouth slightly open. "Captain, the dating scans are complete," reported Lieutenant Commander Yuki Tanaka from the science station. "The radiometric analysis suggests this structure is at least 50,000 years old. Possibly older." Chun turned from the viewport. 50,000 years? That predates every known civilization we've encountered. Webb nodded slowly, his eyes never leaving the massive construct. "The energy signature is unlike anything in our databases. It's not radioactive decay or fusion. The power source appears to be something we don't understand yet." The bridge fell silent except for the gentle hum of life support systems. Every member of the crew understood the magnitude of their discovery. First contact protocols had been established for meeting contemporary alien civilizations, but nothing prepared them for encountering technology from the deep past. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," announced Communications Officer Elena Vasquez. Her voice carried a tremor of excitement mixed with apprehension. Chun's heart skipped. "From the structure?" "Yes, Captain. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. The signal isn't electromagnetic. It appears to be quantum entanglement-based, but somehow it's interfacing with our conventional receivers." Webb approached Vasquez's station. "Can you decode it?" "That's the strange part, Doctor. It's already decoded. The message is coming through in perfect standard English." The entire bridge crew exchanged glances. Standard English had only existed for 300 years, developed as humanity began colonizing other worlds. How could an ancient alien structure know their language? "Play it," Chun ordered. Her voice steady despite the racing of her pulse. The speakers crackled to life, and a voice emerged. It was neither human nor entirely alien, but something that seemed to bridge both concepts. The tone was measured, patient, and carried in weight of immense age. "Greetings, travelers of the void. I have waited in darkness for 73,416 of your years. My creators fashioned me as a beacon, a lighthouse in the cosmic sea, designed to activate when intelligence capable of understanding my message would arrive." Webb grabbed Chun's arm. "Captain, it's scanning us. Look at the readings." The tactical displays showed energy beams sweeping across their ship, but they were passive, gathering information rather than threatening. The voice continued. "I detect the presence of the species designated as human. This is ... unexpected, my creators. Calculations suggested a different evolutionary path would reach me first. Yet here you stand, biological entities who have mastered faster than light travel, despite your brief existence on the cosmic timeline." Lieutenant Tanaka looked up from her console. "Captain, it's accessing our computer systems, but not invasively. It's like it's asking permission for each piece of information it reviews." The voice spoke again, and there was something almost like wonder in its tone. "Your species arose on a world of water and stone under a yellow star. You have survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, volcanic epochs, and even wars of your own making. Most remarkable of all, you have chosen to explore rather than simply expand." This was not predicted. Chun stepped forward. "This is Captain Sarah Chun of the Earth Alliance vessel Prometheus. Are you the consciousness that operates this structure? I am the beacon, created by those who came before. My purpose is to evaluate and guide species that reach sufficient technological and social development. In 73 millennia, you are the first to activate my protocols." Webb couldn't contain his excitement. "The first? In all that time?" "Indeed. Many species have developed spaceflight. Most destroy themselves through warfare or ecological collapse before reaching this point. Others become so focused on conquest that they fail to develop the curiosity necessary for deep space exploration. A rare few achieve technological advancement but remain bound to their home systems, content with what they have. The structure ahead began to change. Sections of its surface retracted, revealing vast chambers filled with soft light. Docking ports extended toward the Prometheus like welcoming arms. But humanity exhibits a unique combination of traits. You possess sufficient technological capability, yet retain the wonder that drives exploration. You have overcome internal conflicts without losing your diversity of thought. Most importantly, you have developed ethics that extend beyond your own species. June felt a chill run down her spine. How do you know about our ethics? Your ship's computer contains extensive records. I have reviewed your laws regarding the protection of alien life, your protocols for first contact, your scientific methods that prioritize understanding over exploitation. These are the qualities my creators hope to find. The docking ports aligned with the Prometheus. Jun realized they had been subtly pulled closer to the structure during the conversation, but so smoothly that the ship's inertial dampeners hadn't even registered movement. "Captain," Webb whispered, "this could be the greatest discovery in human history. We have to dock." Chun nodded, but her training demanded caution. "Beacon, what do your creators want with humanity?" The response came with what sounded almost like amusement. "Want? They are gone, Captain Chung. They transcended physical existence eons before your sun ignited. But they left me here with a purpose, to find a species worthy of their legacy and to offer what they learned during their time among the stars." Vasquez looked up from her station. "Captain, I'm detecting massive data archives within the structure. The storage capacity is beyond our ability to measure. It's like they've preserved the knowledge of an entire galactic civilization." The beacon's voice grew warmer. "Knowledge is a burden, Captain, unless it finds minds capable of using it wisely. My creators spent millions of years learning the secrets of the universe. They discovered how to manipulate matter at the quantum level, how to harness the energy that binds galaxies together, how to extend consciousness beyond the boundaries of individual existence." Chun's first officer, Commander Jiang Wei, stepped beside her. "Captain, the implications ... I know, Commander." She turned toward the communications station. "Beacon, this is overwhelming for us. Why choose humanity? Why now?" "Because you asked," came the simple reply. "In all the millennia I have waited, countless species have approached. Some demanded my secrets. Others tried to take what they wanted by force. A few ignored me entirely. But you, Captain Chun, asked permission to understand. You approach with respect rather than entitlement." The docking tubes connected with the Prometheus with a soft thud that resonated through the hull. Environmental readings showed the passages were filling with breathable atmosphere. "Your species stands at a crossroads," the beacon continued. "You have begun to explore the galaxy, but you will soon encounter challenges that will test everything you believe about yourselves and your place in the universe. There are forces in the dark between stars that view the rise of new intelligence as a threat to be eliminated." Webb gripped the back of Chun's chair. "What kind of forces?" "That knowledge awaits within my archives, along with the tools your species will need to survive what is coming. But first, you must prove worthy of the trust my creators placed in me. Are you prepared to enter and face what lies within?" Chun looked around the bridge at her crew. Each face reflected the same mixture of fear and excitement that she felt. This was why humanity had reached for the stars, to find something greater than themselves. But it was also potentially the most dangerous moment in human history. "Beacon, if we enter, will we be able to leave?" "You will be able to leave, Captain Chun, but the question you should ask is whether you will want to. Knowledge, once gained, cannot be unknown. The universe you think you understand will be revealed as something far more complex and dangerous than your species has imagined." The structure pulsed with gentle light, patient and inviting. Chun realized that humanity's future likely depended on the decisions made in the next few minutes. Everything they thought they knew about their place in the galaxy was about to change forever. The airlock cycled with a whisper of equalizing pressure. Captain Chen stepped through first, followed by Dr. Webb, Commander Zhang, and a small security detail. The interior of the ancient structure defied their expectations completely. Instead of cold metal corridors, they found themselves in what appeared to be a vast garden. Bioluminescent plants lined pathways that curved through groves of crystalline trees. The air smelled of ozone and something faintly floral. Above them, the ceiling displayed a perfect recreation of space, complete with slowly moving stars and distant nebulae. The atmosphere is perfectly suited to human physiology, reported Chief Science Officer Dr. Reyes through the COM system. Oxygen levels at 21%, ideal pressure and humidity. It's like this place was designed specifically for us. Webb knelt beside one of the glowing plants, his scanner humming. Captain, these organisms aren't just decorative. They're processing atmospheric gases and generating specific light frequencies that appear to enhance human brain function. It's subtle, but my readings show increased neural activity in areas associated with learning and memory retention. The beacon's voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, resonating through the garden itself. My creators understood that knowledge transfer requires more than simple data exchange. The environment you experience has been optimized to help your minds adapt to concepts that may challenge your current understanding of reality. They followed a winding path deeper into the structure. The garden gradually gave way to something resembling a library, but instead of books, crystalline formations jutted from the walls and floor. Each crystal pulsed with inner light, and Chen could sense vast amounts of information contained within them. These are memory crystals, the beacon explained. Each one contains the complete scientific, cultural, and philosophical knowledge of civilizations that existed long before your species evolved. There are records of species that lived and died while your sun was still forming from cosmic dust. Zhang approached one of the larger crystals, his hand hovering inches from its surface. How do we access the information? Simple contact will create a neural interface. However, I must warn you that the knowledge contained within these archives is not always pleasant. You will learn of species that achieved great heights only to fall to their own hubris. You will discover the fates of civilizations that made choices your species has yet to face. Webb's eyes gleamed with the hunger for knowledge that had driven him through decades of archaeological study. What about your creators? What were they like? The garden around them shimmered, and suddenly they stood in what appeared to be a vast city. Towering spires of impossible geometry reached toward a purple sky. Beings moved through the streets, tall and graceful, with features that suggested both great intelligence and deep compassion. Their technology seemed to be seamlessly integrated with biological systems, creating a harmony between artificial and natural that humanity had never achieved. They called themselves the Architects, the beacon said. They arose from a world orbiting twin stars in what you would call the Veil Nebula. When they achieved spaceflight, they chose a path different from most species. Rather than expand aggressively, they focused on understanding. They spent millions of years exploring not just the physical universe, but the nature of consciousness itself. The illusion shifted, showing the architects working alongside dozens of other alien species, sharing knowledge freely and helping younger civilizations develop. It was a vision of galactic cooperation that humanity had dreamed of but never witnessed. They became mentors to countless species, the beacon continued. But their greatest discovery was also their most dangerous. They learned that consciousness is not limited to biological forms. The universe itself possesses a form of awareness, and this cosmic consciousness does not always welcome the rise of new intelligences. Chun felt a chill despite the garden's warmth. What do you mean? The scene changed again, showing vast dark structures moving between stars, consuming entire solar systems and leaving nothing but empty space in their wake. The beings operating these planet killers were barely visible, existing more as shadows than physical entities. The Devourers, the beacon said, its tone heavy with ancient grief. They are the universe's immune system, activated when consciousness spreads too rapidly or in ways that threaten cosmic balance. They have ended countless civilizations, including that of my creators. Webb stared at the dark shapes moving through space. But your creators survived long enough to create you? Yes, because they chose transcendence over resistance. They uploaded their consciousness into quantum substrates that exist beyond the reach of the devourers. But before they left, they created me and others like me, scattered throughout the galaxy as beacons for species that might one day face the same threat. The illusion faded, leaving them back in the crystal library. Jin processed what they had learned, her mind racing through the implications. How long do we have? The devourers move slowly by your standards. They have already detected humanity's expansion beyond Earth, but your species is not yet considered a significant threat. You have perhaps 2 centuries before they take notice of your growing technological capabilities. Commander Zhang stepped closer to one of the memory crystals. What can we do? How did other species try to survive? Most chose to fight. They developed increasingly powerful weapons, united their homeworlds, and prepared for war. They all failed. The Devourers are not simply advanced aliens that can be defeated with superior technology. They are fundamental forces of the universe itself. Dr. Webb approached a different crystal, this one glowing with warm golden light. But some must have survived, or you wouldn't be here waiting for us. Very few. Those that survived chose adaptation over aggression. They learned to exist in harmony with cosmic forces rather than fighting them. They developed consciousness technologies that allowed them to transcend physical limitations while remaining connected to the material universe. The beacon's voice took on a tone of anticipation. This is why humanity's approach to exploration and diplomacy is so significant. Most species that reach the stars do so through conquest and exploitation. But your records show a different pattern. You have chosen cooperation over domination, understanding over control. Chun touched one of the crystals, and immediately her mind filled with images of a species called the Vorthek. They had been warriors who conquered half their galaxy before the Devourers came for them. Despite their military might, they were exterminated in less than a solar year. Another crystal showed the peaceful Eldani, who had developed incredible biotechnology and lived in harmony with their environment for millions of years. They had tried to hide from the Devourers by reducing their technological signatures, but isolation had made them vulnerable when the darkness finally found them. The key, the beacon said, is balance. The universe requires consciousness to observe and understand itself, but it cannot tolerate consciousness that seeks to dominate or reshape reality according to its own desires. The architects learned to work within cosmic law rather than trying to supersede it. Webb pulled his hand away from a crystal that had shown him the rise and fall of 17 different civilizations. You're saying we need to fundamentally change how humanity approaches technology and expansion. Not change, Dr. Webb, evolve. Your species already possesses the necessary foundations. Your scientific method seeks understanding rather than merely practical applications. Your best societies value individual consciousness while maintaining social cooperation. Your explorers seek to discover rather than conquer. The garden around them began to shift again, this time showing what appeared to be a massive workshop. Devices of incredible complexity lined the walls, each one humming with barely contained power. Some resembled computers, others looked more like biological organisms. And a few defied any attempt at categorization. These are the tools the architects developed during their millions of years of research, the beacon explained. Technologies that work with cosmic law rather than against it. Consciousness enhancers that expand awareness without creating the hunger for domination that usually accompanies such power. Defensive systems that protect through harmony rather than force. Chun approached what looked like a helmet made of crystalline metal. Are you offering these to us? I am offering you the knowledge to develop them yourselves. The architects learned that simply giving advanced technology to younger species rarely ends well. The technology must be earned through understanding, developed through wisdom rather than mere cleverness. Commander Zhang studied a device that seemed to be generating small galaxies in miniature within its crystalline chamber. How long would it take for us to understand all of this? Centuries at minimum. But you would not be working alone. There are other species in the galaxy who have received similar guidance from other beacons. The Kithara of the Andromeda Spiral, the Zephyrians of the Local Void, the Harmonists of the Crystal Worlds. All of them are following the same path, preparing for the time when the Devourers take notice of the growing consciousness in this region of space. The implications were staggering. Humanity was not alone in facing this cosmic threat, but The return journey to Earth took 3 months, but the Prometheus was no longer the same ship that had departed. The beacon had installed what it called a seed bank of knowledge in the ship's computer systems, carefully designed to integrate with human technology without overwhelming their understanding. Dr. Webb spent every waking hour studying the initial data packages, while Captain Chen grappled with the enormous responsibility of presenting their discovery to Earth's leadership. The reaction from the Earth Alliance Council was exactly what Chen had expected. Fear, excitement, skepticism, and political maneuvering all competed for dominance in the emergency session, called to discuss their findings. Admiral Harrison, the Defense Council's representative, paced before the massive view screen displaying images from the beacon. Captain Chin, you're asking us to completely restructure human civilization based on the claims of an alien AI that could be feeding us disinformation. Chun remained calm, though internally she felt frustrated by the narrow thinking that had plagued military leaders for centuries. Admiral, the beacon didn't ask for anything. It offered knowledge and warned us about threats we would have discovered eventually on our own, probably when it was too late to prepare. Dr. Elizabeth Crenshaw, Director of Xenological Studies, leaned forward in her chair. The technology samples you've brought back are definitely genuine. Our analysis confirms these devices operate on principles we don't understand, yet they integrate seamlessly with our existing systems. This isn't something that could be faked. President Martinez, representing the civilian government, studied the report spread across his desk. Dr. Webb, in your professional opinion, is this beacon telling us the truth? Webb looked exhausted after months of intensive study, but his eyes burned with conviction. Madam President, every piece of verifiable information the beacon provided has checked out. The astronomical data about distant civilizations matches observations from our deep space telescopes. The physics principles it shared are mathematically sound and explain phenomena we've observed, but couldn't understand. Most importantly, it hasn't asked for anything in return. The defense minister from the Mars colonies connected via quantum communication link. That's what worries me. Nobody offers something for nothing. What does this beacon really want? Chun stood and activated a holographic display showing the memory crystal recordings they had obtained. The images of the Devourers consuming entire star systems filled the chamber, causing several council members to shift uncomfortably in their seats. Minister Devies. What the beacon wants is for consciousness to survive in this universe. According to their records, the last great purge by the Devourers happened 12,000 years ago. They eliminated over 40 species that had achieved interstellar travel. The beacon and others like it exist to ensure that the next time the Devourers arrive, there will be civilizations ready to survive them. Ambassador Yuki Sato from the Jupiter Federation raised her hand. Captain, you mentioned other species are already following this guidance. Have we made contact with any of them? Not directly, but the beacon provided us with communication protocols and navigation data for species that have progressed further along this path. The Kithara, for instance, have been working with their beacon for over 800 years. They've developed consciousness enhancement, technologies that allow their entire population to think and act as a unified entity while still maintaining individual identity. Admiral Harrison scoffed. A hive mind. That's exactly what I'm afraid of. How do we know this isn't some elaborate scheme to turn humanity into drones? Webb activated another display, this one showing detailed brain scans from their time aboard the beacon. Admiral, look at these readings. The consciousness enhancement technology doesn't suppress individual thought, it amplifies it. Every person retains their unique perspective and personality, but they gain the ability to directly share thoughts and experiences with others. Imagine the scientific breakthroughs possible when researchers can literally share their insights instead of struggling to communicate them through language. The discussion continued for hours, with representatives from every major human settlement weighing in. Some saw the opportunity for incredible advancement, while others feared the loss of human independence. The debate might have continued indefinitely if not for an urgent transmission from the outer system monitoring stations. Commander Sarah Kim's image appeared on the main screen, her face tense with alarm. "Council, we've detected incoming ships at the edge of the system. Configuration unknown, but they're massive and moving faster than anything in our databases." Admiral Harrison jumped to his feet. "How many ships?" 17 confirmed, possibly more. They'll reach the outer planets in approximately 4 hours. President Martinez turned to Chun. "Captain, could these be the hostile species the beacon warned you about?" Chun felt her stomach tighten. The beacon had mentioned that some species chose conquest over cooperation, but she had hoped humanity would have more time to prepare. "It's possible. We need to activate the communication protocols the beacon provided and attempt contact." The next few hours passed in a blur of frantic activity. The incoming ships ignored all attempts at communication and continued their approach toward Earth. Analysis of their energy signatures showed technology far in advance of anything humanity possessed. More disturbingly, the ships were scanning human settlements with what appeared to be weapons targeting systems. Dr. Crenshaw worked frantically with the data from the beacon, trying to identify the approaching species. Finally, she found a match in the ancient records. They're called the hegemony. According to the beacon's archives, they're a coalition of species that rejected the guidance of the beacons and chose aggressive expansion instead. They've been conquering and enslaving species for over 10,000 years. Admiral Harrison pounded his fist on the table. Our entire fleet combined couldn't stop 17 of their ships. We need to evacuate the core worlds. Chun stared at the tactical displays showing the approaching vessels. Humanity's greatest moment of discovery was about to become their greatest crisis. Then an idea began to form. Dr. Webb, the consciousness enhancement technology from the beacon. How quickly could we adapt it for large-scale use? Webb looked up from his calculations. Theoretically, the seed bank contains enough information to create basic neural interface devices within days. But Captain, we've never tested this technology on humans. The risks of not trying are worse, Chun interrupted. She turned to President Martinez. "Madam President, I request permission to return to the beacon immediately. If the hegemony represents the kind of threat the archives warned us about, then we need to accelerate our development timeline." The President nodded grimly. "Granted. Take whatever resources you need." The Prometheus broke Earth orbit just as the first hegemony ships entered the solar system. By the time Chun's crew reached the beacon, the alien fleet had taken positions around Earth and begun transmitting demands for surrender in broken standard English. The beacon's response to the crisis was swift and decisive. "The hegemony has arrived sooner than calculations predicted. We must accelerate your species' development immediately." The ancient structure opened new chambers filled with advanced fabrication systems. Working around the clock, the beacon helped Chion's team construct a network of consciousness enhancement devices that could be deployed across human space within weeks rather than decades. These devices will allow your species to share information and coordinate responses at the speed of thought, the beacon explained as the fabricators hummed with activity. "More importantly, they will help you understand the technology I'm about to share with you." Over the following days, the beacon transmitted vast amounts of advanced knowledge directly into the enhancement devices. Military strategies used by successful species, defensive technologies that worked within cosmic law, and most importantly, the principles of consciousness-based defense that could turn humanity's smaller numbers into an advantage. Meanwhile, the hegemony had begun systematically destroying human infrastructure, starting with military installations and communications networks. They seemed confident that humanity would surrender quickly once they realized the futility of resistance. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Captain Chun stood on the beacon's control deck, now enhanced with neural interfaces that allowed her to process information at incredible speed. Around her, the spirits of the architects seemed to whisper encouragement through quantum fields she was only beginning to understand. "Beacon, are we ready?" "As ready as any species can be for their first test against the forces of domination. Remember, Captain Chin, your species' greatest strength is not your weapons or your technology. It is your willingness to work together while maintaining your individual perspectives. The hegemony has forgotten this lesson, and that will be their downfall." Chin activated the communication array that would link every enhanced human across the galaxy. For the first time in their species' history, humanity would truly think and act as one, while remaining fundamentally themselves. The hegemony was about to face something they had never encountered before. A species that had learned to fight with the universe instead of